Hey, good morning, friends. Welcome to The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. Our number today is 844-236-6010. 844-236-6010. If you have questions, comments, success stories you'd like to share, if you have a health challenge you or a loved one needs help with, we're here for you, 844-236-6010. And if you just want to contribute to the conversation, we love hearing from you, 844-236-6010 is our number on The Bright Side. If you want to purchase longevity products, go to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. You can also sign up to join the Brightside Ben team if you want to start a home-based business, want to make a little spare change, or even have a full-time income. The longevity business opportunity is something you want to take a look at. Call 866-735-2470 for information, or click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. Speaking of entrepreneurship, which is a lifestyle that is admittedly not for everybody, but if it is for you, we're going to be speaking to Nathan Perez at the bottom of the hour. He's the author of the 20-minute networking meeting. We're going to talk about relationship building and how you connect with folks to start a business, to grow your business, to be in business, or even if you're just looking for a job. The 20-minute networking meeting is available on Amazon and Kindle and Barnes & Noble, and we'll talk to the author of the 20-minute networking meeting, Nathan Perez, at the bottom of the hour. 844-236-6010 is our number, and we are going to continue talking about butyrate, butyric acid, if you will. Butyrate or butyric acid, whatever you want to call it, is a derivative of fiber digestion, microbial fiber digestion. That is the bacteria in the gut chew fiber. They release butyrate, and thus the importance of both butyrate and the microbiome, as well as fiber. When we think of fiber, we tend to think of the mechanical actions of fiber, and it's true. There are some mechanical benefits to ingestion of fiber. Fiber acts like a broom that sweeps out toxins. It also is a bulking agent for stool, and it can help improve the elimination of waste through the bowel. And by the way, when I talk about waste, I'm talking about cholesterol. I'm talking about bile, old bile, and I'm talking about old hormones. All of these waste products are eliminated through the stool. If you're not eliminating, these toxins build up. If toxins build up in the intestine and you have leaky gut, which is very, very common, it's likely you're going to have blood issues. This is where sticky blood comes from. For the life of me, I cannot figure out why Dr. Sean Baker and other medical doctors who are proponents of the carnivore diet just don't believe that this is a big deal. We're going to talk, by the way, tomorrow to Dr. Sean Baker. I'm going to ask him about that. Elimination of wastes through the bowel is critical, and fiber supports that. Yes, it's true. Fiber is not essential. You can live without it, but why? What's the upside to living without fiber? So I'm going to talk to Dr. Baker about that tomorrow, as well as a few other questions that I have. I'm very excited to be able to speak to him. Thank you, Rob, for setting that up, by the way. And we'll have that discussion tomorrow about fiber and about butyrate as well, because fiber is much more than mechanically valuable. It's also biochemically valuable via this prebiotic benefit, via its ability to be produced from fiber, butyrate's ability to be produced from fiber, that is. The microbiome and the secretion of butyrate is also important for cardiovascular health. This gut-heart connection is not something you hear a lot about, but it's very important for clogged arteries, for example. According to a May 2020 article in the International Journal of Clinical Chemistry titled Butyrate-Producing Bacteria and the Gut-Heart Axis in Atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is a leading cause of heart disease, clogged arteries basically, and butyrate-producing bacteria can help prevent clogged arteries. Quote, gut bacteria prevent atherosclerosis progression by producing butyrate and maintaining the bacterial balance, the intestinal barrier function, and the expression of various genes, unquote. There you go. Gut bacteria affect genes. Gut bacteria build the intestinal barrier function, and gut bacteria, by producing butyrate, can help keep arteries clean. Butyrate is powerfully vasodilating and anti-inflammatory. I was just reading how it can be helpful for folks who are dealing with tinnitus. Deficiencies in butyrate can also encourage leaky gut. Deficiencies in butyrate can encourage the permeability of the intestine. Leaky gut syndrome is also called intestinal permeability syndrome. And as the name implies, things leak through the intestinal lining into the bloodstream. And I would say that is the number one, numero uno, probably the primary and maybe only cause of chronic long-term degenerative disease. Yes, intestinal permeability is very likely the major cause of long-term chronic degenerative disease, which is absolutely impossible to cure with the medical model. They can treat it, but they cannot reverse it. There is nothing, period, end of story, full stop, nothing your doctor can do, the medical model can do, prescription drugs can do to help a leaky gut. There's nothing the medical model can do to cure or eliminate chronic long-term degenerative disease. I hope this is not a shock. It's probably not a shock to you guys, but it's very likely a shock to your neighbors who are not listening to this program, because everybody just goes to the doctor when they have diabetes. Everybody just goes to the doctor when they have an autoimmune disease. There's nothing. But if you understand the relationship between leaky gut and intestinal permeability, it's hard to say, intestinal permeability and long-term chronic degenerative disease, you know you can do it yourself. And one of the best things you could do is get yourself on a butyrate supplement. Butyrate supplements are actually marketed for leaky gut, but of course, if you've been listening to this program for the last couple of weeks, you know butyrate supplements are good for a lot of things. When it comes to the gut-heart connection, there's an important relationship between the entrance of toxicity through the intestine and into the blood circulation. This is particularly true with something we talked about a few weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago, called lipopolysaccharides, LPSs. Lipopolysaccharides are powerful activators of the circulatory immune system. Lipopolysaccharides are a powerful source of dirty blood. The entrance of LPSs, lipopolysaccharides, into the bloodstream is a major cause of dirty, sticky blood. And for you guys who are worried about COVID, understand that that's a blood issue. This viral infection that everybody's talking about is really a coagulopathy issue. It's a coagulation problem. It's a sticky blood problem. This is very likely the reason why so many people, why there's such a discrepancy in symptomology, why some people get really, really sick, or a few people get really, really sick, and most people don't have a problem with it. It's because the people who got sick are predisposed because of sticky, dirty blood. And LPSs are one of the main reasons why you get sticky, dirty blood. LPSs, by the way, are also known as endotoxins. Endo meaning inside, as in inside the circulatory system. Toxins meaning poison. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben, 844-236-6010. And by the way, you can use butyrate for all of this. Sodium butyrate's available on the internet as a supplement. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back on the bright side right after this. Back on the bright side, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Our number, 844-236-6010. If you have questions, comments, success stories you'd like to share, we love hearing from you. We'll have Nathan Perez at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk about networking and entrepreneurship and relationships and business success with Nathan Perez at the bottom of the hour. We'll get your calls here in this segment, 844-236-6010. I'll continue talking about butyrate tomorrow. I ran into an article today in the journal Clinical Advisor I thought was really interesting. Screening for comorbidities in patients with hidradenitis suppurativa. Hidradenitis suppurativa is an awful skin condition. It's also known as acne inversa. It's like an acne that happens from the inside of the body, where you get cysts in your hair follicles, and I should say acne that happens within the skin, not on the surface of the skin, but within the skin. It's not even acne. They call it acne inversa, meaning it's like boils and cysts. It's really hideous. It happens under your arms or behind your knees, and it's just a terrible condition. It can be painful. It's unattractive, and people don't know what to do with it because you can't really treat people with hidradenitis suppurativa, like other skin conditions, will just automatically go to the dermatologist, and there's nothing the dermatologist can do because it's not a skin condition. The real key to understanding hidradenitis suppurativa, as with all chronic diseases, is to understand the nature of comorbidity. Comorbidity means the other health challenges that you have with the health challenge you're looking at. Diseases do not occur in a vacuum. Chronic long-term degenerative diseases do not occur by themselves. They occur within a context of other symptoms, usually, not usually, always, involving the triangle of disease. According to this article, quote, several morbidities are associated with hidradenitis suppurativa, including, get this, folks, metabolic disease. That's diabetes and blood sugar problems. Diabetes. That's diabetes and blood sugar problems. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. That's the adrenal thyroid complex. Cardiovascular disease. That's diabetes. Current or past smokers. Well, that's lifestyle. Squamous cell carcinoma, again, the triangle of disease, and anxiety or depression, the third point on the triangle of disease. Bingo! If you're dealing with hidradenitis suppurativa, and it's not a very common condition, 1% of the population or so has it, and it usually happens in women, by the way. Backtrack to the triangle of disease. You don't have to read the article on the journal Clinical Advisor. You just have to listen to this program and to understand the logic of the triangle of disease. So if you're dealing with that, really any chronic disease, but skin conditions, and particularly, at least in the case of this article, hidradenitis suppurativa, backtrack to the triangle of disease, the digestive system, the blood sugar system, and the adrenal thyroid complex. It underlies everything. Everything. And that is so simple. That makes life so simple if you're dealing with a healthcare challenge, a healthcare issue. Correct digestive health problems, especially leaky gut. Stabilize your blood sugar and calm down. Relax the body. All right. 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's go to Pamela in California and say good morning to Pamela. What's up, Pam?
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. Why I'm calling, and you as well. I'm sorry I didn't ask you, but
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Good.
Even though you had to be reminded. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Okay. Have you heard of something called the T as in Tom RT machine or soft wave therapy?
Yes, TR therapy you're talking about? Targeted radio frequency therapy? Is that what you mean?
No. Well, it's shock wave, but it's sound waves, actually.
R is radio frequency. It's basically electrical energy. Now, whether it's sound or sometimes they'll use light, sometimes they use straight electricity, it all involves energy that they're shooting into the body. You're talking about to break up gallstones or kidney stones, something like that?
It's similar, but there's a doctor. Here's a chiropractor. It's very hard. There's only 150 of these. They're miniaturized. Okay. And he's here in Capitola, actually, so I heard him on KSCO. Okay. And he's had amazing results with it, but they call it the stem cell machine because what it does is it starts the body producing its own stem cells. Okay. And I buy that. Yeah, it's amazing. And he's only charging a $49.95 for the first treatment, and he's
That's
had
awesome.
people. Yeah, and there was a story he told about a friend of his whose son jumped off a huge cliff into the ocean, broke his back. They didn't think he was ever going to walk again.
Wow.
In terrible condition. And they started using this machine on him, and in 6 weeks he was walking around again.
Well, that's awesome. Electrical stimulation in general, and it's funny you called today because just yesterday we released at truthtreatments.com an electrical stimulation device for the skin. And there's actually a lady already did a review on YouTube for it. And the idea being you drive in electrical energy into the skin and you stimulate collagen production and also improve vasculature and nutrient delivery if you put a product on top of the skin. So I'm a fan. And I haven't heard of that, what you're talking about, I haven't heard of that specific device, but I have heard of targeted radio frequency therapy, TR therapy, and it's definitely helpful. And I would do it.
It helps with nerve.
All of it.
Nerve damage is very
absolutely.
hard. And I remember you talked about your mother who had burning in her feet. Yeah. And he said he has used it on a lot of diabetic people.
You know, that's a great. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to send my mom my stimulation device. Thanks for reminding me. That's a really good point. And thank you. Me and my mom will both appreciate that. I was going to say something about this TR therapy. Everything's energy. It's all electricity. Even chemistry works via electricity. So by using these kinds of devices, the electrical devices, and I remember when I broke my leg 20 years ago, they gave me what's called a TENS unit. Have you heard of these transcutaneous electrical neural stim? Yeah, these TENS units. Transcutaneous electrical neural stimulation, I think it stands for. And they're great. They're great for accelerating healing, bone growth. They're just awesome. They're awesome for your skin if you want to stimulate collagen production and get an instant facelift. Check out our device at truthtreatments.com. We're selling out of them pretty fast. I'm a fan. I haven't heard of that specific thing.
Russian Scanar, SCENAR. Well,
no, I haven't.
It's related, except it's even more effective than TENS. Look that one up. Also.
I will. Spell it again. SKANAIR. Scanar. SCENAR, and they've had miracles with that one as well. And it was invented by Russian scientists, actually. I believe it. They're big in electricity over there in Russia.
Oh,
Scanar.
yeah. And they're not cheap. I got one. It was around $800, and you can get them up to $2,000.
Do you like it?
I do like it.
Listen, I want to get one more call in, and we got a guest coming up. Could you call tomorrow, Pamela, if you're still listening? If you're listening tomorrow, call tomorrow. I'd like to talk some more about that.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Pamela. Hey, Tony. Is this Tony in California?
Yes, it is. Hi.
Where you been? You're still around.
Well, I'm listening every day.
Oh, my goodness, Tony. How old are you now?
Fred.
How old are you now, buddy?
I had to talk to you about, I'm 85, but I have an 82-year-old brother who's dying right now as we speak. The doctors don't know why he's bleeding, but he's doing exactly what you talked to open the program with. He's got leaky gut. His toxicity is high. They don't know how to handle it. They've been shuffling him from between hospitals and rest homes.
Does he want to do stuff? I'll help him. If he wants to be helped, I'll help him. Send me a note.
It's too late. With the butyric acid shoved into his body, I help it at all?
Oh, heck yeah, it'll help. Tony, send me an email. I want your phone number. I've been meaning to call you. Send me an email, ben@ksco.com. Put your phone number in there.
Okay.
All right, we got to go, Tony. Thank you for calling. Appreciate it. All right. Nathan Perez coming up next on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time and 24/7 on the archive page, benfuchsarchives.com, also brightsideben.com. We've got search engines up on both our pages, and all the longevity products are available at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com, as well as news stories and blog posts, and a Join the Team link that you can click on if you want to start a longevity business. If you like the entrepreneurial lifestyle, which is admittedly not for everybody, but if it's you and you want to start a home-based business and you want to be involved in the nutrition business, you owe it to yourself to take a look at the business opportunity, the longevity business opportunity, by clicking on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. You can also call 866-735-2470 for more information. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products, all formulated by myself in my compounding pharmacy for healing wounds and treating post-surgical wounding and pre-surgical prophylactic treatment, as well as treating eczema, acne, and psoriasis. Health equals beauty. Healing products are beautifying products, and that's why we have over 1,600 4- and 5-star reviews at truthreview.com. You can purchase Truth Treatments at truthtreatments.com and check out our reviews at truthreviewed.com. Okay, I'm looking forward to speaking to our guest today. Nathan Perez is the author of The 20-Minute Networking Meeting, Learn to Network, Get a Job. We're going to talk about how you can use networking to build your business if you're an entrepreneur. Networking is about relationship building, and everything is about relationships. Even chemistry. We talk about chemistry on this program a lot, obviously, and even chemistry is about relationships. It's all about how things go together, and learning how things go together can help you with your health, your physical health, and it can also help you with your financial health as well. Please welcome to the bright side, Nathan Perez. Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning, Ben. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I've been diving into your work here. The 20-minute networking meeting is about networking to get a job, but I imagine it's good for a whole bunch of things, learning how to network and learning how to meet. So what do you mean by 20-minute exactly? I mean, obviously you mean 20 minutes, but why did you narrow it down to a small amount of time like that?
Right. It's a good question. I think for the most part, over the course of time, we've sort of looked at networking as something that has to be like an hour long. The longer the time that we spend with somebody, the better that's going to be. But when you kind of distill it all down and get to the goods of what you were really there to talk about, you find that you're actually talking about just a handful of things, and all it really takes is about 20 minutes.
Can you use it for like dating and meeting people at parties, and can you use these skills just to make connect, make friends kind of thing?
Yeah, I think even more simple than that is that we're doing it all the time. So if networking is just about information and information exchange, right? And if you think about that, we're doing it all the time. I might say probably first establish what networking is not. What networking is not is about, being slick and smooth and salesy and dropping names and that kind of thing. And what it really is just information gathering and information exchange. You could even call it research if you really wanted to. But when we are at a party or when we're at a bar, at a restaurant, or we're in a work scenario, and even when we're having just little chit-chats and conversation, well, no matter what is said between the two people, that is information exchange. So, for instance, even if I said, hey, good morning, how is your morning? Hey, my morning is good, just got my cup of coffee. That is information exchange. And if we were to take that conversation to the next day and we say, how was the rest of the day yesterday? Last time I saw you were getting coffee, and then now you're exchanging more information. So we're actually doing it all the time. And therefore, it's used for everything.
Where does small talk fit into this?
Small talk tends to be the little things that don't really have a whole lot of meaning to it in the end. So for instance, we ask each other all the time, how are you doing? I'm really good. It's cold out today. Yeah, it is pretty cold out today. But tomorrow's supposed to be a little bit better, but we're really not getting anywhere. I mean, those are things that we talk about all the time. And it is information exchange, but you don't get into too much depth. And then when you walk away from it, you don't really feel like you've learned much about the person or even about what you were discussing. That ends up being small talk. And networking, by contrast, is very specific. You get into more specific. So you can be formal about it and ask very specific questions to get specific information, or just have a conversation that happens to do the same thing. But you walk away from that feeling like you've gotten depth and understanding as opposed to, small talk.
Do you think small talk is necessary or maybe helpful to set the stage for networking, to set the stage for more serious information gathering?
Absolutely. It's different from person to person. So you might meet someone and right off the bat you realize, we're going to get right into a conversation, as opposed to meeting somebody else who may be shy or introverted, and lots of us are, and it could start out a little bit like, hey, how's your morning? Pretty good. I just got my coffee. I just had that coffee. It's really good coffee. And then it starts to kind of warm into more of a conversation, as opposed to kind of stay right there in that that spot where it's small talk.
Yeah, that kind of leads me into my next question, which is about rapport. Can you really get information if you don't develop a certain rapport first?
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you've done research on the people that you may be talking to, if it was something more familiar, so that they could really talk to it. But if you were to get into a conversation, let's just say starting with coffee again, and you kind of find that you have an interest in it. So you're a big coffee drinker? Yeah. Well, I mean, every morning, maybe 2 or 3 cups a day. Get out of here. So do I. It's probably a little unhealthy. I was reading, though, it's really not that unhealthy. There's all these different properties and chemicals to it that are good. And the next thing you know is you're relating. And as you relate, you begin to develop a rapport. And that rapport will lead you just about anywhere. Because in the end, when we find that we have these things in common, anything in common, we just grow more comfortable with one another. And the more comfortable we get with one another, the more familiarity is built between us. And the more familiarity, the more trust is seated. And then you have a full-on rapport, even somewhat of a relationship.
How does meta information fit into this equation? Like, information is just facts about certain things, but isn't there like a higher level of information that may not be totally literal?
Will you further clarify that for me, Ben, so I understand exactly?
Yeah, like if you're having a conversation with somebody, like me and you are having a conversation, you're giving us information about your 20-minute networking meeting. But isn't there information that I could glean from how you speak, or if I'm seeing you, how you're standing, or if you're distracted, or if you're paying attention? Is there other ways you can get information aside from the literal, actual words that they're coming out of your mouth?
Right. Well, you were having a discussion about energy and having, everything is energy. And so there are so many things that we are communicating that are nonverbal. And so, if you're having a conversation in person, you can read someone and understand by the way that they're standing or the way that they're looking this way or that way or directly at you, and communicating exactly where they are in that moment, possibly even where they are in their life. And we will adjust our communication accordingly.
Or even the topics sense? Absolutely. But even more, not as kind of abstract as the energy, but even more tangibly, the topics they choose to talk about, or what they're focusing on when they're having a conversation with you, the words they decide to use when they're having a conversation with you. Are there all those sources of information that you can use?
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so when we come back, I want to talk about the 5 most important parts of a networking meeting. We've got Nathan Perez with us. His book, The 20-Minute Networking Meeting, website 20mnm.com. More with Nathan Perez right after this. Okay, we're back on the bright side talking to Nathan Perez. His book, The 20-Minute Networking Meeting, is available on Amazon and available at Barnes & Noble, or also on barnesandnoble.com. Nathan, I want to talk about the 5 most important parts of a networking meeting. But before we get to that, have you found that our reliance on internet connections and internet meetings has changed any of your ideas or philosophies?
Oh, huge. Absolutely. And I mean, I think we all know that as of a year ago, sometimes some people were using video for networking before last year, but now we all are. We've all been forced to utilize this technology, which is a great thing. This actually makes networking a lot better.
Easier?
It's so much more convenient. Oh,
does it make it easier?
More convenient. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes it easier because, part of it, some people have a little bit of an issue of doing this stuff in person. And even though you're face-to-face on video, it doesn't feel quite as in person, so that makes it a little bit easier. But the convenience of it makes it easier for the other side of the networking table as well. People are much more willing to hop on video, even on the phone. And it's because, we have the familiarity with the technology. And quite frankly, it's also because we're experiencing pandemic boredom. We haven't been able to be social like we've been, but now we don't have the commutes like we did. And we have a whole day to be able to work with from home. So networking has gotten more convenient and a lot easier.
Are any of your ideas applicable, or do they change when you're doing a one to a group versus one-on-one? Like you're talking to a group of people?
Well, networking for the most part is more effective when it's one-on-one. If you're talking to a group of people, you don't get as much focus time on you or on that other person. But the principles are exactly the same in the sense that you still have to introduce yourself. And this kind of gets into the steps. But you got to introduce yourself, an overview of who you are, what you're talking about, in the information exchange.
So I was here when you're doing sales, and I love doing sales, by the way, and I've been doing it all my life. I always hear that you want to focus on the other person more than on yourself. Is that true about this 20-minute networking meeting scenario that you developed?
Well, the focus that you have on the person is the research that you've done, so that you have a familiarity with them and therefore have an idea of what questions you want to ask them. But part of one of the steps, and I'll review this when I talk about it in a second, is making sure that you do help that person in the end, so that there is focus on them. But when you're holding a networking meeting for your own purposes, what you're trying to do is gather specific information from other people. But again, it always has to be reciprocal. It always has to come around for you to help them as well.
Okay, so I want to get into the 5 important steps. But before you do that, here's a little wrinkle for you. How does your philosophy or the protocols that you developed, how does that apply to somebody who's on the other side of the equation, who's looking to hire somebody?
Right. Well, the thing is, for the most part, let's just say if you're looking for a job, the thing you don't ask in a networking meeting is for a job. You don't ask for a job. The reason why is
Go ahead. Hello? Oh, no. Jason, did we lose it, Nathan? Jason? Huh. Well, I'm not sure what happened to Nathan there, but that was kind of interesting. The website, we'll just continue. Hey, Jason, I don't even know if you can hear me, if anybody can hear me, actually. But if Nathan, if you're still there, you can just come on. If we'll just continue talking when you come back on. The website is 20mnm.com. The 20-minute networking meeting is the book. That was Nathan Perez, and I don't know what happened to Nathan, but it's a very interesting book. If you're either looking for a job or if you're Yeah, we lost you there, buddy. I don't know what happened.
Oh, there. I heard you the whole time. Whole time, and you, for whatever reason you couldn't hear me, but I'm here.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so we only have a couple more minutes here. So 5 most important parts of a networking meeting.
Right. Okay. So the 20-minute networking meeting, it shows the reader how to run a 20-minute meeting with these 5 steps. And each one of these steps has a time limit to them. You can use this virtually, in person, even over the phone. And as I said earlier, we're actually networking all the time. So when I go over these steps, you'll probably recognize all of them. The first step is a great impression of you, right? And then the second step is a 30-second overview. Still with me? Still there?
I'm still here. I wanted to. That first one was very interesting. That first, an overview, talk about you or an impression of you. Now that doesn't mean. What does that mean? Like tell them your. Does that mean tell them your biography, or does that mean how you're dressed, or how you have eye contact, or your posture, or all of it?
That's right. It's more about your own behavior and the impression you create. You know, shaking hands, eye contact, a smile, your energy, that you're happy to be there. Right. And then the next step is a 30 to 60-second overview of your background, or perhaps that could be of you, it could be of your product, it could be of your business, if not a mix of all of those things. And the idea behind giving this information is to, in a short period of time, is to save time for the discussion. And then the third step is the discussion. This is the bulk of the meeting, 12 to 15 minutes long, and it's made up of 5 questions. The first 3 are specifically for your contact, things that you specifically want to learn from that particular person. The 4th question is asking for more names to network with more people through that person. The 5th question, and this is huge, and I said it earlier, it's asking how you can help that person. How can I help you for the help that you've just given me? And I can't say it enough. This is crucial to successful networking, and it's a game changer because business tends to be transactional, and we don't really hear this very much, help and change for help. Step 4 is wrapping up the meeting, just saying goodbye, shaking hands again. You know, if it's on video, you wave, bright smile. And then the 5th step is just following up afterward. And as I said, you know, these probably all sound familiar because we do it all the time, just not necessarily with a process or that practice.
Right. Well, what are the first 3 questions?
The first 3 questions are designed for them. So if I'm doing research on you, Ben, and I want to know more about radio production and podcasting, I would maybe look at your LinkedIn profile, learn a little bit more about you from your website, and then come up with 3 specific questions that are going to help inform me and what I want to learn about radio broadcast or podcasting. So it's going to change from person to person according to what you want to learn from that specific person.
Got it. Now, can you do, they have networking meetings where you just kind of speed date or you just mingle in the crowd and you start asking people. All of this applies to that too?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. In fact, everything that I just covered, you can do in speed dating or speed networking. Yeah. I actually hold workshops around this, and all the principles are the same. It's just that everything is truncated a little bit. And a couple of things are combined. You know, in a great first impression of you, I might shake your hand, but because we're in speed networking, I'd shake your hand, say, I'm Nathan, and then give you a small 10 to 15-second snapshot of my background. And then we would get into conversation.
What is the Veterans Edition 20-minute networking meeting?
Everything that I just covered, except it's specifically for veterans. One of the challenges that veterans have coming into the civilian world is learning the civilian way of getting work, and yet the rules are the same. 70 to 80% of all jobs come through the people that we know. Doesn't matter what industry or whatever else. That's the same as saying 70 to 80% of jobs are not posted. And when veterans come into the civilian world, they are not practiced most of the time to get into the civilian workforce. And this shows them exactly how to do that.
Do you think the civilian workforce, as opposed to being a veteran, has more curveballs associated with it? And that might be one of the problems?
Yes. Huge, absolutely. Yeah. When it comes to civil service, there is so much structure, and there is a huge team mentality. They really pull for each other, and they really help each other. And when you get into the civilian world, it's not quite like that. In fact, a lot of civil service folks say that there's not a lot of accountability in the professional world when they get over there, because people say, I'll get back to you, and they don't. In the civil service world, they absolutely do. So that's a huge curveball for them. It's sort of adjusting to what life is like on the civilian side.
Do you think we're going to go back to how it used to be? Like we'd have networking events and groups of people getting together. And are you hopeful about how the business world is going to evolve after all this COVID stuff kind of calms down a little bit?
Yeah, I'm very hopeful. I think it's going to go back to some kind of normalcy in terms of getting together in person, but for sure this online thing is going to grow exponentially. And it's because our tech, first of all, we're all familiar with the tech, but second, 5G has been turned on around the world. And that technology is 25 times faster than what we've got right now, which means that this virtual stuff that we do is going to get huge. We're going to have, technology mimics human behavior. That's what it's trying to do. So as we network on video, in time, we're going to want to see more of the space, because, when we network in person, we're in the space. And then we're going to be able to...
It'll be virtual. We'll have virtual reality where people will be holograms. We'll be networking as holograms out of the computer.
For sure. And also, with this tech, and then just everything that we've experienced in the last year, the way we talk to one another and the way we connect with one another is going to change. It's already changing. We've dealt with all this, fake news and this and that. What do we believe? And what that does is changes us and how we treat and talk to one and listen to one another.
Nathan, we're out of time. Thank you for being on the bright side. Appreciate it. The book is The 20-Minute Networking Meeting. Ben. Nathan Perez, website 20mnm.com. I'm Pharmacist Ben, and that's all the time we have for today. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to you all later, folks. Bye for now.